Hello and welcome to IstoriaCon. Thank you so much for joining us. My name's Nick. I'm one of the co-founders here at the Heroes Journal, and I am super excited because I get to give a presentation on the Legend of Istoria 3rd edition that we are relaunching. We're going to be opening up pre-orders November 8th. Mark your calendars. It's going to be crazy. So I made a little presentation I wanted to walk you guys through. What is new? What has changed since the last edition? So some of the upgrades that we have made to the Legend of Istoria are the daily page art progression. So every single day, you're going to get a new piece of art that progresses you along the story, just like IMA, just like Istoria Magic Academy. There is a brand new end paper. There is a journal pocket. There are 4 new scenes. A smoother start will be had for new heroes or repeat heroes. There's a level up and experience points exercise and updated packaging. So I'm going to jump into all of this. Here we go. So first things first, daily art progression. The story in the journal progresses as you move through the daily pages, like a slow motion flip book. Here's an example of the first section of the journal. Just like that. Night falls, you sets up camp, takes a look at the tree. So that is kind of one of the biggest updates we made to the journal. We're going to do a whole journal walkthrough after this, so you'll see the whole thing before the end. Okay, a next thing that we updated is the end paper. So we have the colorized map of Istoria now as the end paper for the journal. So you can see there that it looks fantastic. It looks beautiful. It's colorized. Misty B, our favorite cartographer, made this map for us a little over a year ago now. And it's super exciting to be able to print this in every single journal. That way, when you open it, you're just immediately immersed into this world. It's a little sad because we're not going to be able to see heroes color their own end papers anymore. But I think that this is a worthy compromise and a pretty cool thing to be able to show people the Heroes Journal. Another thing we have installed is a journal pocket. After years of requests and feedback, we have finally put a pocket in the very back of the journal. It expands the length of the journal, and so you can flip to the back and you can keep little small things in there. There's also 4 new scenes in the journal that we have never made before, and we're going to spill those beans after this presentation. I'm going to do a whole walkthrough of the new ones that we made. There's also a smoother start. So in general, our mission with revamping the journal was to make it easier to use. So we wanted heroes to get their journals and to feel like they were being chaperoned through the first 7 days, especially of the Heroes Journal, so that they feel a little more, like they have a little more aid on their quest. So some of the ways we did that, we actually switched around some of the intro content that we felt was a little difficult, a little challenging right off the bat. So this is the old intro order. So we had Finding Your North Star first, right away, Call to Adventure, Defining Your Quest, and so on. We have actually changed it up this time. So we're starting with a Once Upon a Time page, moving right into the Call to Adventure, then Refusal of the Call, then Finding Your North Star, Defining Your Quest, and Accepting Your Quest. So hopefully it's a little easier. There's a little more of a narrative structure to it this time, and there's a little more of a storytelling aspect to get you hooked, as opposed to just throwing you right into sort of a questionnaire. Another thing that we have introduced are tutorial pages. So the first page of the 3rd edition of Legend of Istoria will actually have this tutorial on it. So for new heroes or whoever might want to flip back and reference this, this is just kind of a quick tutorial. So hopefully it's not too invasive of the page or the art. We try to keep things really minimal and concise. One of my favorite details about this is the mentor's head is up in the top left corner. I think it's so charming. Just a little Easter egg, you have a mentor helping you even use the journal itself. Kind of fun. So we have this tutorial page on the first daily page, and then we have kind of another tutorial page on the first chapter break page that you'll see at the end of this scene. So again, making that first 7 days really comfortable. Next, we're going to break down the level up and experience points concept that we have introduced into the 3rd edition of Legend of Istoria. So every 7 daily pages, you're going to get a chapter break. Now, this is a big upgrade. Our very first journal, I think, only changed the scene or only changed the page like every 15 or so days. Our 2nd edition changed every 10 or 9 or 10 days or something like that. Now, this journal, every 7 days. So if you're someone who uses the journal every day, every week, you will have a brand new scene. So not only every day are you getting a new art piece, but every week you're going to get a new scene, a new chapter actually to kind of go through, which is super exciting. Now, one of the things you'll find on the chapter breaks is this. So This is the level up exercise. We have introduced 5 new stats here. So strength, dexterity, constitution, wisdom, and charisma. Fans of D&D will recognize that. And under them, there's kind of explained what they could refer to. So strength could mean progress on your quest. You seized all the days. You ate a bunch of frogs. Dexterity means you felt lighter or more energized. Constitution felt healthier or have improved fitness. Wisdom felt more creative or learned something new. And then charisma is improved relationships or increased confidence. So you kind of get to circle whatever you felt like the experience you gained from your last 7 daily pages was. Whether that took you a week or took you months to get there, you get to kind of think about, hey, what are the areas of my life I really leveled up on? What has my character developed into over these last 7 or so daily pages? That will be on the left-hand side of the chapter break page. And then on the right side, there is brand new revised reflection questions. So another super exciting thing that we have done is upgraded our packaging. Now, for those who have been with us for a long time, we actually started the journal, the Heroes Journal, with no box. It was just a journal. It just came in, a bubble wrap or something, and we shipped that. That was like one of our first shipments. And then it was a really big deal when we got boxes. So we had these kind of white boxes that were 2 pieces that everyone's probably familiar with by now. But since then, we have upgraded to a brand new box that will come out with this 3rd edition of The Legend of Astoria. It's going to be a 1-piece box with a magnetic closing clasp in it. It has a very satisfying kind of click when you close it. There's a quick start QR code on the inside cover because the box opens like a book. We also have colored high-res art that covers the boxes. Each of them are unique and each of them are also collectible. So I'm super excited to give you a little bit of a tease. So this is Dragonfire Red. We chose to put the Tortoise and the Mentor on the front. There's quotes on the top and bottom, a super huge pop of color. And then if you look closely on the front, you'll also see the journal color red is there as well. And this is the Wildwood Green Edition. You can get a good idea here of what it looks like inside of the box that it comes in. This also has its own unique art piece on the front. We have you and accompanied by some of the climbers. I love the art that was done on this. Ryan did a really good job. There's a whole bunch of greens in this collection here. Super, super exciting. Now, another thing that we have sort of teased but haven't really quite talked about yet is the Adventurers Edition of the Heroes Journal. This is the first time we have ever made a leather journal, and I'm so excited because we actually have gotten multiple prototypes of leather before this point in time, and none of them have ever really felt good enough. None of them have ever felt high quality enough or have given that Heroes Journal excitement that you should get when you open your box. None of them have felt right or looked right or any of that. And this, I feel like, finally meets our standards after years of looking, truly. So this is a big deal for us. I'm going to walk you through some of the features that are unique about the Adventures Edition and then show you some pictures of it. So for this edition of the Heroes Journal, it's going to be a little special, a little more collectible. So there's going to be spine foiling on the spine of the journal. It's going to have like icons from the Istoria storyline. There's going to be a picture a little bit later in the presentation you'll see. It has a leather cover, of course. There's a green woven cloth ribbon. So you're probably used to the nylon, the gold nylon ribbon that comes with all of our Heroes journals. But this particular journal will have its own unique cloth ribbon that you can use to keep place in the journal. Just gives it that extra, epic look, kind of like Lord of the Rings or Zelda or something like that. It comes in its own collector's edition box that looks nothing like the other 2 boxes for Legend of Astoria. And of course, it has its own Hero Habit Tracker bookmark in there. So this is what the journal looks like. Ta-da! That's the front on view. That's kind of what the leather is going to look like. And then this is the foiling on the spine. So like I said, you can sort of see that wildwood followed by the Dauntless Dunes, Tortoise, pyramid or temple there rather. You have the Perilous Peaks reference. And then of course, at the very bottom, you have Castle Anima. So you kind of get like a little taste of what goes on in the adventure just from the foiling on the spine. This is going to look gorgeous on someone's bookshelf. Once you are done finishing the journal, you put it away for good. It's going to be a nice reminder of the journey that you went on. This is a good picture of the green cloth ribbon. So if you look really closely, you can sort of see the fibers and materials in it. It's a little more substantial than just the nylon ribbon. It's a little thicker as well. And it's a nice green. It's actually the same green as the Wildwood Green Journal. So if you buy the set, buy them together, it actually kind of matches, which is a nice touch. Here is a video of the Adventurers Edition box that the journal comes in. It has icons on it as well, and it's a beautiful house for this collectible journal. Now, of course, we have teased the Sidequest deck for months now, and we are finally ready to release it on November 8th as a pre-order. So it's going to be a part of some of the bundles, and I'm super excited because this has been a long time coming. The Sidequest deck is 52 cards that have side quests on them to help you along your quest. So the fun thing about these cards is that you can draw a random one, you can do one of these activities, and it's supposed to instantly make your day better. They come in these different biomes, and so the background of some of the cards is different. There's 4 different biomes to reflect the journey in Legend of Astoria, and of course the mentors on the cover. Gotta love that. That is some of the things that we have revamped and are releasing on November 8th. I am so honored. I do want to show you very quickly before we move into the inside of the journal tour. This was how we started. This is the first ever prototype of the Heroes Journal. It's in an old moleskin journal that I had a long time ago when I got the idea. And I just wanted to say thank you. If you've been with us for any amount of time, we have spent about 3 years on this very storyline. This journal has been revised and revisited, and a lot of people, a lot of heroes have used this journal to make significant life change. And it's super exciting to be able to go back, make it even better, and re-release it. So I hope you love it. Hope you enjoy it. Let's take a look at the inside. Welcome to the walkthrough of the Legend of Astoria 3rd edition. I will be your guide as we go through this brand new journal. I'll try and highlight some of the new things, and I will kind of more quickly breeze through some of the older things that have kind of been touched up, all of which has been exciting. In fact, I don't think there's a piece of this journal that hasn't been updated. So the first thing you will see when you get to the journal is there is a welcome letter from Nick and Kyle. It's a little updated, actually. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it is updated. We have a Once Upon a Time page for the first time in a Legend of Astoria journal. We took that idea from the Astoria Magic Academy and applied it to this one, and I think it worked very well. Again, I'm not going to read it all. I love the way this art piece interacts with that first piece. I'll go back and forth a few times. So it's kind of the next day, and instead of starting with the North Star, we have actually decided to start with the call to adventure, included an updated field here. So let's consider for a moment what called you to adventure. You, of course, being the main character of the story. Then we move into the refusal of the call right away. We move into some questions about fear setting. In the 2nd edition of LOI, I believe we actually took these fields out, and these questions were almost more of something to just consider. But we actually wanted to reinstate the fields here to let there be some recorded answers here when you look back, or just to get your thoughts on paper before you get started on your quest. Then you move into finding your North Star. As you kind of have received this call to adventure, you have a moment to chew on it and really question, what is the purpose of leaving? Then you define your quest as usual, and of course you accept the quest. From here, you will see a daily page updated diagram. So we have put the page kind of in the middle of the page. It's kind of a meta thing to say, but the labels have been updated. All of the technical writing was done by one of our heroes, Alora. Huge shout out to her for helping us with this. So updated text, and then you can see here on the daily scheduler, it's actually not a daily schedule anymore. We took the numbers out, those kind of suggested schedule numbers. A lot of heroes didn't actually love that feature, so we decided to take it out. Moving on, we have an updated kind of explainer page for chapters and acts. Now, chapters is a new term for us. We actually used it in the very first edition of the journal, the very first Kickstarter edition. Took it out because we weren't really sure what that meant, and it felt a little confusing, but we've since brought it back. We found it a nice home for it. So instead of calling the breaks between the scenes in the journal reflection sections, because it feels a little clunky and it's a little mechanical, we decided to call them chapters. So as you can see here on the right-hand page, there is actually sort of a table of contents almost, sort of a layout of the pages and the acts and the chapters as they come through. So you can see chapter 1, Humble Hills, chapter 2, Wildwood Ruins, and so on. So they are now chapters. So please help me in revising the vocabulary for these reflection sections. We're not calling it that anymore. We are calling them chapter breaks. Another exciting thing that we've introduced in the chapter breaks is the level up exercise. So in this exercise, you will get experience points that you achieved over the last 7 daily pages of your journey. Now that could mean it was a week. It could mean it was 2 or 3 months. The best part about this exercise is that you just get to circle whatever experience point you feel like you really gained. So the experience points are strength, dexterity, constitution, wisdom, charisma. So there's 5. And fans of D&D or any RPG game really will be able to appreciate these because these are pretty familiar. So you will notice the good old-fashioned Act 1 poster going into the first act of the story for Legend of Astoria. You will also notice a new introduction to an art piece that meets you at every single act break throughout this journal, and that is the quest boards. So just a little bit of fun kind of world building, very much like Story Magic Academy. We have sort of done some world building in the background here without being super on the nose about it. And so you can get to read all these little adverts and get to know the land of Astoria a little better. Okay. A new thing that you will also notice, now this is the good old-fashioned, first setting of Legend of Astoria. However, there's words all over the page, and that's because we have introduced a tutorial page. So, just like anyone's favorite video game, there is a quick tutorial, very quick. It's hopefully not too invasive, just some little notes all over the page to help kind of make sense as to how to get started. I'm just going to kind of fly through these pages because we have sort of seen them before. Now, we haven't ever seen them move, but I'm just going to kind of quickly move. So as you can see, this goes from day to night. You sets up camp. There's some stars in the background. Very great. Then we hit our first chapter break. Now, like I promised, I will read some of these level up exercise. So strength means that you progress on your quest. You seize the day, or ate all the frogs, or ate a lot of frogs, however many you wanted. Dexterity means you felt lighter or more energized, so probably something to do with like a health quest maybe, or maybe like a mental health quest. Constitution, felt healthier or improved fitness, definitely health quest. Wisdom, felt more creative or learned new things. So a little bit of the quest of the mind on that one. And then charisma, improved relationships or increased confidence. So that's all about, view of yourself in like a social setting. Now, I'm not going to read the reflection questions, but what I will tell you is we did a complete overhaul of the reflection questions, and they relate to the lore much, much, much more than the previous Legend of Astoria journals, and even more than the Story Magic Academy journals. So you will even see a lot of the world building, a lot of the lore coming out in the actual reflection questions. Now, it's still going to be about you and your quest because you are the hero, but it does tell you a little bit more about the story that's going on, which we felt was a exciting level up from the previous version. So we will move on to the second scene here. I'm just going to move quickly. I don't want to, spend too much time in things that people may have already seen. This is the second chapter break. So as you can see, it says onward here this time. Again, updated questions. And we gave a name to the sword in the journal. That's right. It is called the Istoria. Moving on, we have some more movement. Again, the updated art in this journal means every single daily page is different. We get to the third chapter break, more level up exercises. The bottom right sign here says proceed with some sort of ancient Astorian writing on it, it looks like, or some kind of hieroglyphics. Look, the crawler silk rope is kind of highlighted here. Again, more world building. Now, this is a brand new scene, so I'm going to take a little bit more time. So this is the Sword and Circle Tavern. You can see the little sign here. You can see you waving goodbye to the climbers, leaving the Wildwood, sort of getting out on the road more so now. Now, in the tavern here, we have some familiar characters. If you ever watched the Astoria RPG, you have Trashbeard, Slathco Barcher, and you have Chef Tortellini on the wall. Those were our sort of our RPG characters that we came up with about, over a year ago when we did the RPG. So in this scene, we have you showing up to a tavern on the road because, of course, there's drinks being sloshed. We even have you going to sleep. And this is during a daily page, which I love. You can even see the shadow sort of creeping here, still kind of watching you almost timidly as you sleeps. You wakes up, stretches. You can see the sun rise in this daily page sequence, which I love. You talks to a merchant, gets a new little outfit because we are done with Act 1. That's the end of the first act. So, like I promised, there's a new exciting little poster. You see you overlooking the Dauntless Dunes. If you look very closely, you can actually see the Tortoise Pyramid there, or the Tortoise Temple, I should say. And then on the right here, you sort of have a index, or you kind of have like a dictionary of things that you has seen throughout the journey so far. And actually the depictions, the reflections, or what maybe I should say, the definitions of these things are sort of told as if you were moving through the world. So you kind of get this updated, I want to say Pokedex of the world as you was kind of moving through. You get to name your act, of course, and then the sign in the bottom right says go forth. So we will. And then you also get to see the second quest board, which I love so much. There are so many fun little Easter eggs in this. I don't want to spoil any of them. I just want you to look at that. So that's called the Wildwood Outpost, as you can see here on the top. Then we move into Act 2. Again, this is a page that does change every day, but it's been in the journal since the beginning, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it. There is a little bit of new stuff in it, but I'm not going to spoil it. Another chapter break here. It says press on in the bottom right. Beautiful. More level up exercises. Now this is another new daily page scene. So this is inside the Tortoise Temple. Very Indiana Jones. As you see, you kind of rappel down into some ruins, and then you see the shadow following after, waking up some of the Tortoise mummies here. As you gets the new map, the mummies surround them, and then, of course, also like Indiana Jones, you is able to escape. The Tortoise is safe, and the map has been won from the Tortoise Temple. Then we have a sign that says upward, and that is because we're hitting another new scene. So this scene is all about explaining how you got from the Dauntless Dunes to the Perilous Peaks and made some friends along the way. Because we never really got the backstory of the penguins for you, right? How did they even meet each other? All that stuff. So we kind of tell that story here a little bit. Now you, of course, climbs the mountain by hand, and then has a little carrot, gets the attention of a mountain goat, rides the goat up the side of the mountain. The goat is happy right there. And then we see Baby Pang for the first time in a journal. That's right, there's a Baby Pang, and it is absolutely adorable. Then we see the rest of the penguins sort of kind of surround you. The shadow, of course, always following. And then we get our first Gaul in the journal, sort of looking at the penguins, and then catches them. Oh no! So you have to escape with all the penguins. They run away. They devise a plan to sneak around the Gaul camp. So now we have a little bit of backstory, a little bit of how they all kind of came together. You also gets a coat, inexplicably, but gets one. This sign says advance, because we are moving into this classic page. Now, again, I'm not going to get super into the details of this one, but it is actually a little more of an exciting scene, in my opinion, because it does kind of unfold as you move through it. We get to this classic page, again, updated reflection questions, and then it says carry on in the bottom corner, which we love, to the new cave scene, which is far more darker than the one before. And I mean literally darker, like the page is almost pitch black. And then we get to the right-hand side of this page, you start to see these hieroglyphics on the wall that are sort of a warning to Vulgrim's vault, which you is kind of approaching curiously without, not really sure what's inside. Of course, the vault opens, and we are done with Act 2. So we end on that note. There is more kind of an updated index for the Pokedex part of the journal. You give the second act of your quest a name, and then we move in to Act 3. So this is the third quest board. You have it in the city of Fortia, kind of foreshadowing what's going to go on. Again, tons of Easter eggs on that quest board. Not going to ruin anything. Moving forward, we move into Vulgrim's Vault, which For those who have a keen eye, will now recognize that the Victor's Wand from the Istoria Magic Academy is hidden in Vulgrim's vault. What does that mean for the lore? I'm not really sure, but it is in there because we love Easter eggs here at the Hero's Journal. We will continue to move forward. Of course, Vulgrim is awakened, and then we get another chapter break. I love this one because Ryan was cheeky and kind of made the next sign sort of charred and burned and kind of broken. And it says forward. This is the moment in the scene. And this is the moment in the hero's journey where the hero has to push forward despite being knocked down. So then we get into Stepberg, which has also been updated. Less charred and less burned, just kind of more ransacked this time around. And then we have you far, far off in the distance, very kind of removed from the story at this point, and is kind of walking through this town and discovering the carnage that, of course, Vulgrim has left behind. And again, these daily pages are only 7 scenes long this time. They're not, I think it was 9 or 10 in the previous edition. So you get through this difficult part of the journal a little faster this time. Okay, and then this last scene, or not the last scene, the second to last scene, it says Tally Ho, of course. We move through. Everyone has seen this one before. The difference is that every single day you have something, a little new to look at. And then we get into the final daily page scene in the Legend of Astoria, 3rd edition. Now, I have to confess something before we move forward. This is my favorite daily page scene I think that we have ever done. It is so masterfully done. It changes the convention of the rest of the journal, and I think it does a lot to end the character development of you as you've gone on this long journey. So, of course, the last sign says for Astoria as you faces off with Vulgrim. So check out this concept. I love this concept so much. So every single scene in the last section of the Hero's Journal now will be sort of this kind of flashback and then real time shared on one page. So you see you charging after Vulgrim. He has that new armor. You has that new armor rather. And then on the right side, we kind of have the beginning of the quest, almost like a flashback to the mentor mentioning Vulgrim, mentioning this world as you is receiving their call to adventure, kind of preparing them. So you knows what they are getting themselves into. That's a hard sentence to say. The next scene, we have you swinging away from Vulgrim with the crawler silk rope, an amazing callback. We had to reapply that. And then I love this one. We have Vulgrim using the fire that Vulgrim has, trying to burn you. And then you actually remembers the tortoise in the temple. As the temple was collapsing, the tortoise used its shell to kind of shield itself. You sort of uses the castle wall in the same way. Then we have another scene here. This actually reminds me of Attack on Titan, if you guys have ever seen it. It's an amazing show. Anyway, you is kind of, using the shield that you has as a sled to kind of slide down the rooftops of the Castle Anima city, trying to get away from Vulgrim still. Of course, a callback to the penguins on the mountain, on the Perilous Peaks rather, with the Gauls. So moving forward, one of the last pages here, we have you engulfed in the shadow of Vulgrim, who is engulfed by the shadow itself. Very meta. We look back on the shadow sort of being the literal shadow of you the entire quest and you kind of knowing it, but not really knowing, what to do with that. Then we get this final scene. This is the final page in the Legend of Astoria, which I love so much. We have this epic showdown. We have Vulgrim doing this giant anger power up. We see the peak of the shadow ready to engulf you by way of Vulgrim. And then we have a flashback, of course, to what I think is one of the best pieces of art we have in the Hero's Journal. It's back with the refusal of the call. The whole idea of this page is to get you to remember that when you started this thing, you were a different person. When you started this thing, it was a much different you. And you have worked so hard to get here, and you've completed this journal, and you deserve this moment. Which of course is the classic full page spread of you lunging at Vulgrim. And there you have it. And look at that. We actually did keep that final act art piece because we loved that sort of like that layout so much. So anyway, this is all things you guys have seen before. There's a final updated quest board. It's incredible. There's a little bit of world building in that as well. I'm not going to spoil anything. And then there is a new thing here. So you get a little letter from the mentor, of course, to congratulate you on finishing your quest. And then similar to Astoria Magic Academy, like you get a little diploma. And this one, you get the Proclamation of Astoria. Because you finish your journal, you get to write down the date that you finished. You get to kind of know how long it took you, whether it took you a year, 2 years, whatever, 1 month, or I guess that's impossible. 1 year, 2 years, 3 months, whatever. Then we have actually introduced a QR code that takes you back to our website if you want to leave a review or you want to buy another journal. And then, of course, there is some note space with some art in the back. And that is the brand new version of the Legend of Astoria.